is the rear leg round kick to the leg target. The target for this will be the seam. If you think of somebody wearing pants, it will be the seam of that pants. So the main target would be between the quad muscle and the hamstring, sciatic nerve area or T-band area. Those are your low line kicks you go. Or for competition, even to the knee joint. When you're training with your partners to preserve their health, you want to aim your leg kicks in sparring, drilling, whichever, to their quad muscle, just for that safety and protection. But for sport, competition, street defense, knee joint, or the seam of that pant leg, which would be their sciatic nerve T-band. So if we work some of the low line techniques. Number one, we're going to step into the technique. It's like a 45-degree angle step. This is going to help clear our head off center line. It's also going to help us kick through the target, so it's a 45-degree step. So as I go through the motion of the technique with that triangle step, 45-degree step, aiming for his quad for practice. And here's my friend. You can do two things with your hands. You can extend your arm out for protection, defense, and balance, or you can whip it past your kicking leg to accelerate the speed and power of the kick. Like this. It's almost like a sprinter. When people are sprinting, they're moving their arms as they're running. It's the same kind of premise here. We whip our arm to develop speed, power, and even balance on our leg kick, or any kick. So the techniques here. Arm extended, or arm whip. Stepping at a 45-degree angle, getting up on the ball of my foot. So the 45-degree step is just here, stepping at 45 degrees. Again, getting my head off the center line, and it's also developing more power in my kick to kick through the target. Target again on their quad for training. Knee joint for competition, street defense, or down that sprawl emblem, or down the seam of their pant leg, where that sciatica or T-band are running. So I'm stepping at a 45-degree angle. When you're kicking, you get up on a ball of your foot and you pivot. That's going to help the whipping motion, power of your kick. Opposite hand of your leg kicking is going to go to your head for protection. Then you have your whipping arm or your extended arm. So I step, kick, arm forward. Or I step and whip. On each of the kicks, I'm kind of sitting down. So as I'm going to my kick, my front knee will sit down just a little bit. So I'm sitting down and being heavy on that person's leg. So you kind of want to have a slight bend. It's called sitting down on the kick. So as I step at that angle into the kick, I sit down a little bit. Sit down. Or I whip my arm. Midline kicks, you're keeping your leg extended. So if I work the midline kick, my leg stays almost locked out. But when I go low, I sit down on it just to have much more weight and pressure down on that knee joint or that side area. So again, the rear leg kick to the leg target. Stepping, extending the arm. Or I step and whip. Hand position can go to your opposite temple, middle of your forehead, or near temple. And everybody teaches it maybe differently. So you have three options, here, here, or here. Personal preference, you can play around with all three. So again, the leg kick, rear leg, round kick to the leg. Step, extend the arm, and back. Pivot, pivot as much as you can. The pivot motion wants to be almost at 180 degrees. Develop all that hip torque. Think you have three hinges on your body, the heel, your hip, and your shoulder. All of them turning over at once to develop maximum power. Stepping, kicking, or whip. Done either way, arm extension or arm whip. When you kick, you fold your leg. So you don't want your leg fully extended, where a lot of times you're hitting your foot on the target. So it's not a straight leg kick. Closer your leg is, or your shin bone is to your body, the more powerful it's going to be. When you kick to the leg, these tie kicks, you use the blade on the front of the middle of your shin bone. Try to avoid kicking with your foot. So the hardest bones in our body, we're going on the target. So we fold our leg and put it on the target. Try to avoid, if you can, landing your foot. It's the middle of your shin bone. Or that. So that is the rear leg round kick to the target on the outside of the leg or the knee joints. One of the ways to help develop your leg kick is to use one of these suitcase pads. And the idea with these, when you kick these, you want to kick right under the emblem, the Fairtex or whatever brand it is, in the middle of this pad. The person holding the suitcase, it's like you're going to put the handle right at your hip line. Because what you want to think is, again, this is the general vicinity of the target. But also for protection on your own leg, you want the person generally kicking right here. So you want to hold it about where, if they're kicking in the middle of the pads, just on the other side of the pad is going to be where your quad is. If you're holding it down by your knee and you get some powerful kickers, you're risking injury to your knee joint. So you're holding it right here in the front leg. So if we just show a couple of low line round kicks on the suitcase pad, again, just by using pads, it helps develop your power, the technique itself, speed, and certainly conditioning comes with all that. So a few rear leg round kicks to the leg area. So he's sitting down on the kick, hitting the target, arm whip, and protection to his hand, or to his head. When you're holding the pad, you might want to lean into it a little bit. So you lean into the kick, getting used to leaning into it. Flexes that leg a little bit. It's going to be a little bit less uncomfortable on your leg as you're kicking. So a few more of the rear leg round kick.